just like the Bubonico, this thing, sadly to say, it's inside of the biolab research, which means it's going to take 3 days once you have enough resources to research it, meaning it's going to use a lot of mutagen samples. Yes, it's one of those kind of weapons. Would probably go for the Bubonico, whatever that was, than this for the first research, because people seem to be loving that thing, but this costs a lot more to build. You do need to find some stem root. It takes less mutagen mass, but it does take 10 necrothane and 5 scintillant, making this a lot more expensive. But to me, worth it. Because it also comes with a V polarity. I still cannot decide. The Bubonico is way better than expected once you throw some forma at it. This, kind of similar. I did put 2 Vs on to put the primed pistol gambit and primed target cracker on this to try and increase the crit chance, but it's the radial attack of this that is the amazing part of it. Has to be empty to get the best effect of this, and I do want to play with it a lot more because I haven't even got multi-shot on this. I basically have the 4 dual status elemental stuff, the damage, more damage, and the crit. Going to play with it a little bit more, try and fit multi-shot in here, which will increase the damage a lot, but fulmination on this increases that blast radius a lot if you are willing to sacrifice damage somewhere to be able to swap these round, because it's actually at the point of it's a lot of damage sacrificed to increase the blast radius. Hence, may have formatted twice with 2 Vs for these things, but I don't think it's going to stay like this for long. Even the normal fire mode of this, it did kind of take me by surprise how well 31.6% crit with a 6.1 times multiplier actually worked, considering it was basically built more towards the status side with 146.2% status. Of course, again, no multi-shot on this, which is kind of a huge downside. I have to sacrifice some damage to try and add multi-shot to this. Shouldn't be too bad if I just take the crit off and throw multi-shot on. But what you have to remember, kind of demonstrate this one really quickly, it doesn't affect the radial attack for the multi-shot. Neither does the crit, for that matter. The reload is now worse than it was. I kind of built this thing more towards the magazine side of it, because putting multi-shot on increases the damage of normal fire mode only, which is why I've kind of left it as it is for now. And as I said, after trying to use this thing just a little bit during the whole test weekend, it's good. It's really good. The primary fire mode works well, but that reload, when you throw the magazine and it has the radial attack, is very good. Like, very, very good. There's not many things that do that, though I have found something since starting to play with this that may be just that little bit better. We'll get to that one a little bit later, hopefully. Ooh. It's not as good as this. This still worked really well. This is a thoroughly high damage weapon with that reload, and the radial attack makes it good for crowd control. But there are a few situations for this thing that I wish were just a little bit better. Putting projectile speed in usually kind of sorts out the fall off. It does for the normal fire mode. It kind of increases the range just a little bit because of the projectile speed. The fall off's not as far, means it does damage at longer distance. Not the range of the beam, just the range of the damage. Goes from 9 to 19, or goes from 9 to 19 to 12.6 to 26.6, so it increases it by about 6 meters of effective range. But it doesn't affect the anything for any other mode. The fire obviously the secondary fire mode, it's a throwable, so where it lands is its effective range. It also runs out of ammo fairly quickly. Not surprisable considering you are emptying the magazine as quickly as you can to throw that grenade, and if you don't match the elemental combo to match who you're going up against, this thing starts to become kind of a letdown really quickly. Because it seems to be more of a status based weapon, the crit on there just kind of allows you to run missions and not worry about matching the elemental combo as much, but obviously it's going to take longer to take enemies down. If you match the elemental combo, it works much better. Prime example, against the Corpus. If you have magnetic on this, it takes the shields out ridiculously quickly and takes them down really quickly. If you don't have magnetic on there, it's going to take you a lot longer to actually take them down. And before anybody mentions it, yes, Magnum Force is a mod you can put on this that adds 165% damage. It takes away 55% of the accuracy, meaning the beam kind of jumps all over the place. I tried it in there for a few seconds, I think it was one game, and very quickly took it back out. Fine at short to close range, but medium range it's kind of iffy. Long range, completely pointless. The magazine still goes where it's being thrown, but the beam itself is lackluster at best. And putting something like Ice Storm in, which will give it 40% more magazine capacity and 40% cold, instead of throwing Frostbite on, actually decreases the status chance and the damage. And you don't want a bigger magazine. If anything, you want a smaller magazine on this, so you throw the magazine more often. Sometimes, weirdly, you can throw it twice. I can't explain that one because in testing it just kind of seemed to be a completely random thing that happened. But this thing, I couldn't decide really which one was better, the Bubonico or this. There is a better secondary that I will get to sometime in the future. All I want to say is it's a kit gun. I haven't had it long enough to come to a conclusion, but I just kind of formatted that thing for the second time and went, oh, hang on. That thing is basically the magazine of this constantly. Which means this thing was good. I really enjoyed it for the few days I actually played with it. And like the Catch Moon, kit guns have kind of annihilated everything. And I haven't even built that kit gun to be a good kit gun. It's just, I really don't want to say it's better than this. I would still say the magazine on this probably does more damage. But that thing is basically the magazine of this all the time, which kind of ruined this weapon for me. Because this was the second most excited thing I had. This is where all the hype kind of laid for the whole 29.5 update for me. And the fact that a kit gun annihilated it in 2 forma, and I'm not finished with it, was a bit of a letdown. This thing is still pretty good. The beam on this is still really good. But sadly, this thing, yeah, it just does way more damage. And I haven't even finished this thing. It's got the wrong magazine on it as well. But I think we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.